I don't have a video prepped for today, but I do have this quick video for you where I talk about approximately one of the 8,247 things that I want to talk about but can't because I'm just one person. But one thing in particular that's been bothering me is the treatment of Greta Thunberg. And this is not surprising, but just the way that grown-ass men in this country and around the world think that they can just openly call for violence against her to score internet points is befuddling to me, but not necessarily super surprising. So let me touch on this. So we talked about Greta Thunberg's Gaza flotilla. She set sail last week with 11 other individuals, including a journalist, a doctor, a member of European Parliament, an actor who was on Game of Thrones. Lots of people who set sail to break Israel's blockade to deliver much-needed humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Now, were they expecting to feed all 2 million people who are starving currently? No, of course not. But the goal is to draw attention to the situation that's unfolding in Gaza that's being supported by our government. Israel is starving the Palestinians in Gaza right now to death, literally, and they are not allowing sufficient aid in. So they are trying to draw attention to a crisis that's happening as the world pretends it's not happening. Now, as you all know, over the weekend, Israel boarded this vessel and they took it over and diverted it to Israel, and they essentially took the individuals on this boat hostage, and that includes Greta Thunberg. Now, Greta Thunberg released this video. All of the individuals on board pre-recorded a video in the likely event they were taken hostage by Israel, and this was Greta Thunberg's.
My name is Greta Thunberg and I am from Sweden. If you see this video, we have been intercepted and kidnapped in international waters by the Israeli occupational forces or forces that support Israel. I urge all my friends, family and comrades to put pressure on the Swedish government to release me and the others as soon as possible.
Now, after watching this video, Piers Morgan, a hack who pretends to be concerned about Israel's war crimes, decided to weigh in, and he tried to dunk on Greta Thunberg. Responding to this, writing on Twitter, quote, "Oh, shut up, Greta Thunberg, you attention-seeking narcissist." That is so ironic for him, of all people, to call anyone else a narcissist. Nonetheless, he says, what an insult to the actual hostages in Gaza who really were kidnapped. This stupid stunt is all about your ego and will make zero difference to the plight of innocent Palestinians caught up in this dreadful war. Okay, first of all, it's not a war, it's a genocide. Second of all, if this was really about her ego, then there are other things that she could have done to satiate her ego. She put her life on the line to draw attention to a serious crisis that you claim to care about, Piers. But since you actually have no values and she does, you're choosing to shit on her because she's doing what you and a lot of other people aren't willing to do. Put their lives on the line. I care about this issue. I didn't do that. A lot of people watching care deeply about this issue. They wouldn't do that. They couldn't do that. So the fact that she actually did this, she put her life on the line for something she believes in, is commendable. But Piers Morgan is choosing to shit on her because he's a pathetic piece of shit. He doesn't care about this. To the extent that he cares about this issue at all, it's how he can exploit it for views and clicks and put, pro-Israel people against pro-Palestinian people to have this bomb debate where everybody blows up at each other and screams. That's all that he cares about. If there was no entertainment value in this, he wouldn't give a fuck about the people of Gaza who are starving currently. He'll feign concern once in a while just so that way you don't think he's a monster. But this guy is a fucking sociopath. So at the end of the day, he does not care. Now, we know that Lindsey Graham last week, we talked about this, said that he hopes she can swim. I guess he was joking about Israel killing her. But Dave Portnoy said, it'd be great if a missile hit her.
You should just go over to Gaza. We can do unnamed. You can be live in Gaza.
I'll jump on Greta Van Thorsten or whatever that girl. She's sailing there. Whoever that fucking. I hope they hit a fucking a missile on her boat.
Well, I hope they hit a missile.
That's
on the boat. I hate when I hit a missile on a boat.
Knock that boat down, Greta, whatever her name is.
Thunberg, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how all of the people who defend Israel and claim that they're the most moral military on the planet are salivating at the prospect of bombing her or hitting her with a drone or a missile? I mean, if Israel was as peaceful as you said, and they wouldn't go after civilians like you contend, then why would this thought even cross your mind? Of course they'd be safe, right? They're in international waters. They're full of shit. They are full of fucking shit. And to go back to Piers Morgan for a minute, because I don't want to let him off the loose too easily, even though he purports to be in opposition to the Israeli government and their war crimes and says that they take things too far, basically with regard to this issue, he was towing the line that Israel was towing as well, because they called this a selfie yacht. And they claimed that really they had to take over the vessel because if they didn't, they were in danger because Hamas would have done a terror attack on them, when in actuality, the real threat was Israel. Everybody knew the threat was Israel from the beginning. This was a deeply dangerous thing for Greta and these other heroes to do. And I say this because Israel has a history of treating activists with the utmost contempt. And I don't mean that they treat activists poorly by yelling at them or smearing them. I mean they kill activists, literally. So back in 2010, they killed 9 activists who were on a Gaza Freedom Flotilla. They were shot in the head at close range. That's what could have happened to Greta Thunberg, and I have no doubt that Israel would have done this to her if people did not know who she was. She used her notoriety, as did the other individuals, to prove a point that Israel is starving innocent Palestinians in Gaza, and she put her life on the line to do that. That is more than you can say about anyone else. But that's not the only time that Israel has killed activists. Last year, they killed a 26-year-old American citizen who was protesting in the West Bank. On top of that, let's not forget the story of Rachel Corrie.
Rachel was 23 years old. She was an evergreen college student from Olympia, Washington. She went to Gaza with the International Solidarity Movement, which formed after Israel and the United States rejected a proposal by then UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Mary Robinson to place international human rights monitors in the occupied Palestinian territories. Rachel Corrie was crushed to death by a U.S. Caterpillar bulldozer that was run by the Israeli military. She'd been trying to prevent the demolition of the home of a Palestinian pharmacist in Rafah, near the border with Egypt. Eyewitnesses say she was wearing a fluorescent orange vest. She was in full view of the bulldozer's driver, as photographs show. In June 2003, the Israeli military concluded her death was, quote, an accident. Human rights groups condemned the Israeli army's investigation as a sham.
So let's be very, very clear here. Greta Thunberg and the others put their lives on the line to sound the alarm and make everyone in the world pay attention to what is happening to the Palestinians in Gaza right now. No, they were not under the delusion that they were going to feed every single person in Gaza. They only had a little bit of aid on this yacht. Having said that, though, the fact that they did this to try to break the blockade to prove a point, that is commendable. They could have been killed, and Israel would have been much more harsh if these were just nobodies. But since these are celebrities, as they put it, well, they're trying to pretend as if they treat the hostages so kind. They're in good spirits. They're checking their health and they're giving them sandwiches and they're trying to turn this into a PR stunt for them. But, Israel has kidnapped thousands of Palestinians, including children, and they have not released them. Like, we talk about the hostages that Hamas took, but nobody talks about the 9,000 or so hostages that Israel has taken that are Palestinian. Activists, regular innocent people, sometimes children who threw rocks at the IDF. These people have been taken as hostage and nobody gives a fuck about them. So it's not just like funny because, she says she's being kidnapped when she's being melodramatic and this is a publicity stunt. You can see that Israel is clearly caring for them and they're not going to hurt them. Yeah, because they're celebrities according to Israel, right? If they were to hurt them, then there would be international outrage. But if they were nobodies, then Israel would kill them and nobody would say anything about it. These people knew that they had name recognition and international notoriety, and it would be much more difficult to Israel, for Israel to harm them as much as they wanted to, which is why they did this, which makes it so much more brave that they did this. When you see Lindsey Graham, Dave Portnoy, Piers Morgan, and a whole host of other dickheads shitting on Greta Thunberg in particular, they're kind of showing who they are as people, and saying people is a little bit too generous because these individuals lack humanity, hence why they don't give a fuck about what's happening in Gaza, hence why they won't condemn the genocide, and they're okay with Israel wiping Palestinians off the map. They don't care. But Greta Thunberg does care, and she is the best of what humanity has to offer. And the people that we talked about today, like Piers Morgan and others, they're the worst of what humanity has to offer. Greta Thunberg is a fucking hero. She risked her life, literally. She could have been killed by Israel, but she risked her life just to sound the alarm about the suffering of Palestinians. And for these people to shit on what she did, even if they disagree with it and they don't agree that Israel is doing a genocide, just the fact that somebody would put their life on the line, and they know that she put her life on the line, you know, and they're shitting on her. They don't believe in anything enough to do that. Few people do. But the fact that they're shitting on her just makes it so much more disgusting. So, you know, Greta Thunberg will never see this video, but I hope that she understands that regular human beings with empathy and compassion see what she did, and we recognize her as a hero, and we hope that she knows that this wasn't for nothing. You know, nobody really expected this mission to be successful. We did not expect them to actually break the blockade and make it to Gaza. But the fact that she tried and she put her body on the line for what she believes in is genuinely commendable. And the same goes for every other individual who isn't as well known as Greta Thunberg. So credit to her. I appreciate that she's doing this, and I really am thankful for other individuals who are going above and beyond to make it known that what's happening is a genocide. It's not just the activists like Greta Thunberg. It is the courageous doctors who are going into Gaza to administer aid to Palestinians who don't have a functioning hospital system anymore. It is the people who make themselves target by trying to report on the war crimes in Gaza. There aren't any international journalists in Gaza. Israel won't let them in, but you have Palestinian journalists who are trying to report on it, and Israel is murdering them. So what's happening is a genocide, and anyone who tries to resist that, they are doing work that will be viewed very, very kindly by history, whereas people like Piers Morgan will be remembered as the opportunists and the hacks that they are in actuality.